Alright, what the fuck is up, y'all? This is KreyzMcKormik up in this motherfucking bitch. And so there's a couple of things that if you didn't see on the title down there, I've got a couple of things that I want to fucking talk about, some stuff that I got on my mind. Now, the first things first, I definitely have to say that when it concerns personal situations, I'm starting to think I might have a problem. Because due to this back pain and shit, man, I've been fucking eating Aleve and Tylenol and Motrin and shit like that like I'm a goddamn motherfucker. So apparently my girlfriend ended up telling me that when it concerns Motrin, like I ended up getting the... my granny ended up giving me 4 Motrin 800, and those things are already fucking gone. So when it concerns that shit, like apparently when it concerns Motrin, my girlfriend ended up saying, yeah, you're only supposed to take 1 of those a day. I was like, I took 4. Like I've been fucking steady taking Aleve and shit like that, and it's fucked up because I don't like pills. So there you go. You just saw me taking Aleve, and I ended up just taking 2 Tylenol. So, you know, Juggalo-luggin. I don't know. I doubt that it's going to turn into a problem because I usually don't take pills unless there's something that, you know, unless there's something that I really have to fucking take it for. If I can't handle the pain or anything like that, I won't fucking take Tylenol. I don't take any of that shit. Tylenol, Aleve, Motrin, naproxen of whatever kind. I don't even take aspirin for none of that shit. But you know, to be totally honest, that's about the hardest of drugs that I'm actually gonna fucking take. Besides, you know, like everybody's fucking cool with the idea of Violent J being a pillhead. I doubt that anybody would have a problem with me being a pillhead, especially since I ain't that level of famous. Let's see. So Tucker already with the questions here. Would I try meth for $1 million tax-free? No. Wouldn't take that shit for shit. I already know the aspects of meth and what meth can do to a body. So it really has to do with how bad of a fucking addiction that somebody can get from it and how fucking quick. And I don't see me taking meth just due to the fact that meth is a very addictive drug and it's very easy to fucking go through. I mean, I'll take something when it concerns one of the pieces of the recipe. You know, I don't mind taking fucking Sudafed, but I wouldn't try meth, and that's basically for no amount of money. I don't give a fuck. Because to me, my body is rather important. Never once, not one time, ever. No, and there's 2 reasons behind that. One is because of the fact that, well, we already know that if you've ever watched Spun, and you've never done drugs in your fucking life, and you watch the movie Spun, believe me, I thought Mina Suvari was hot until I saw Spun. For one, and that's for one reason. And 2 is because, yeah, not to mention, the number 2 reason is because of my brother. Because my brother ended up having a fucking stint in jail, and it was due to the fact that he had meth. My brother has dealt meth, and it just really, no. Like, I seen what it had done. And, I, under no circumstances, would want to touch that shit. I don't care for how much amount of money. Yeah, call me a trooper, because that's the fact of the matter. Another good reason, I'll give you a bonus reason. Right after I fucking graduated high school, right after I fucking graduated high school, there was this thing in the Grand Rapids Press where there were 5 kids that ended up fucking running from the law against 2 or 3 state county lines. And one of those county lines ended up being my county. As a matter of fact, I drove past this fucking car chase. And the next day, like, because I saw these cops, I saw like 5 cops chasing one car. And the next day I take a look at the Grand Rapids Press. And in the Grand Rapids Press, it ended up saying that there was a car chase that was like 2 or 3 county lines long, and the reason why there was this chase was because of a meth bust, and 2 or 3 of the kids that they ended up fucking busting for meth ended up being fucking juggalos, and they ended up showing their mug shit. Like, they ended up showing pictures of these kids and shit. A couple of them were wearing psychopathic gear. One of them specifically was wearing a twisted hat. When it concerns heroin, the same fucking thing. Would not try heroin at all. See, I just ask the questions that sets the tone and makes for good dialogue. It's iffy because of the content that is being spoken on. Why is it that when Tucker the Insolent comes into my fucking chat, somehow it has to be about drugs and shit? That's not my life, homie. Fucking Red Bull, Faygo, and cigarettes. That's my fucking life right there. And the hardest drug that I've ever fucking tried is marijuana. I've seen what other drugs have done. And, to be perfectly honest, even marijuana is not for me. So why I would want to try anything harder than marijuana, it's a dumb question. We're like, okay, you tried marijuana and you don't like it, why don't you try heroin? Fuck that. Nah, I've got pussy, so I don't need to fucking take drugs in exchange for pussy. But yeah, to be totally honest, like, I mean, I've been taking a lot of pills over the last 48 hours, and it's basically due to this back pain that I got, and it's a fucked up reason why I got this lower back pain. So here's the story. I was walking into the kitchen to go into my bedroom to grab something. I don't remember what, but I fucking ended up going into the kitchen. The kitchen has no light on, and I'm walking through it, and I bang my knee on the fucking, on a rolling, space heater. Yeah, but, you know, it's not here, it's not legal here yet. Yet. I will emphasize the word yet. Have you ever had any edibles, like a cookie with 10 milligrams of THC? I have had, let's see, I ended up having a fucking nibble of an edible brownie, and the shit was so fucking potent that my body's not used to THC. So when even a fucking bite off of that shit ended up giving me the LSD effect. And then about 2 or 3 years ago, when my girlfriend and I went to Wheatland, she ended up suggesting me to try some apple butter. And so I put it in my mouth and I swallowed it, and she goes, she goes, "Happy Wheatland." And I'm like, "You fucking bitch," because I don't like drugs. Drugs just don't agree with me. And so, like, after I ate that apple butter, my girlfriend, when we were at Wheatland, she likes to fucking eat, it's like she'll fucking smoke weed or eat an edible, and then after that she's like, let's go on an adventure, which usually means a walk around. And I couldn't make it 100 yards away from our fucking tent before she decided, Let me restart. I didn't. I couldn't make 100 yards away from the tent and the campsite before my stomach started to fucking hurt because of the fucking apple butter. And so, like, I ended up just jumping into a porta potty and ended up sitting there for like a half hour trying to shit because of my stomach ache. I figured, okay, if I take a shit, then I should probably be able to, you know, that should probably settle my stomach. And that didn't work out. So I fucking told her, look, my stomach is killing me, and it's because of that fucking apple butter that you gave me. And so fuck it, I'm not gonna do a walkabout. I'm just gonna go back to camp, and I'm gonna fucking chill and try to fucking rest this stomach ache off. And she's like, you're no fun. And I'm like, well, you were the one who fed me weed, so you know this is kind of your fault. And then after they got back from the walkabout, they woke me up and we played Cards Against Humanity. And me and her friend Mike ended up hurting an entire bag of fucking Cheetos. No, it was Doritos, my bad. We had Doritos up in that bitch. But like I said, when it concerns like, you know, all of the fucking pills and stuff that I'm taking, it's getting to, like, I've taken enough fucking pills. I've taken enough fucking pills in the last 48 hours that you would think that I'd be having a problem, but I just don't like this back pain. And how it happened was I ended up walking into the kitchen and I banged my knee on a fucking space heater. And when you fucking hit something with your knee-jerk reaction is just to fucking bend over and grab it. Hashtag grab it. And so I fucking did that, and it locked up my fucking muscles in my lower back. And my lower back, like right around here, like right above the butt, is where I hold all of my stress. And I've been kind of under stress for the last 3 or 4 years. So because of that, like this happens like every 6 months. Every 6 months I end up having something going on with my fucking back. Now, yeah, Insane Clown, I'm actually planning on talking about that in a minute, once I get done, but I'm gonna answer some of the shit, that Tucker is fucking talking about. I respect straight edge people. So many smokers now, it's not as cool or sexy like it used to be. Well, that's because, you know, back in the day, they used to have cigarettes with the cigarette commercials with the Marlboro Man and things of that nature. And, you know, like like when the Marlboro Man died, they ended up having a Truth commercial with the brother of the Marlboro Man, and they would show bits and pieces of the commercials where, like, they were trying to say, you know, like, the way that they advertised Marlboro cigarettes was that that cigarettes were supposed to make you feel like you were independent. And then it shows, like, all of these really quick clips of the Marlboro Man in a fucking hospital on a gurney, tubes in his nose and all over the place, and it looks scary as fuck. And then it cuts back to the guy in the fucking, you know, it cuts back to the Marlboro Man's brother, and he's sitting in a fucking field, and he's just like, did that look independent to you? And I was just like, dear God, that's what it was all about? Fucking that shit? So yeah, that is what it is. But no, with this shit right here, I could tell you exactly what the problem is, and part of it, yeah, it does have to do with dehydration. Cigarettes do dehydrate the body, and so does sugar. When you intake too much sugar, that does dehydrate your body and makes it a little bit harder for you to move and shit. But you know, I got a problem. Even if it's fucking, you know, even if it's fucking like Faygo and things of that nature, coffee is like right now the closest thing to hydrating my body that I've got, but that also has caffeine and sugar in it. Butterbear from Bigby. And I keep on going back and forth between the coffee and the Red Bull, and that does not necessarily do a lot of good for my heart. But when it concerns staying hydrated and things like that, I don't know what actually has vitamin E in it, and I don't pay attention to fucking labels. because most of the nutritional facts that are on things usually are just straight up lies. As far as I'm concerned, most of the time I just drink whatever I want because it's fucking tasty. Specifically like Red Bull and Faygo. But yeah, cigarettes, basically, that's the whole thing when it concerns cigarettes, because it actually dehydrates the water in your blood. And, I mean, weed does too, but, you know, that's one of the things, because you're inhaling smoke, and in order, you know, and that's a dry inhalation. So when you're inhaling smoke, it's gonna fucking take water away from that shit. That's why you get that buzz and stuff, because your brain is not getting the oxygen from the fucking plasma that surrounds your blood, that surrounds your fucking blood. What is it that I'm trying to say here? You know, yeah, your blood cells. Because it dries out your blood cells, and that's what gets you that high when you're fucking smoking cigarettes or even marijuana. But when it concerns my job, you know, I don't really have that much to worry about, because I'm only allowed to have water on the floor, and I drink mad loads of water while I'm working. To a point where, like this past Saturday, I had a small 16-ounce jug. It looks like a fucking jug, and I probably only filled that thing up once. So, like, when I'm not working, I'm drinking this shit only because I have the ability to do so. But once I get home, you know, once I go to work, I'm drinking nothing but water. And I drink more water and shit rather than the stuff that I fucking drink. Other things like Red Bull and coffee and shit like that. If I was there, I would give you a totally non-gay vertebrae stretch. You would hear like 10 pops and you would be good to go. No, because my thing with, like, if you're talking about trying to fucking put some ease on my back, no, that's gonna put more tension on my spine, and that would just make things worse. And I've already taken 1 day off of work yesterday, so that way I could try to rehabilitate. And I just laid on my bed or on the fucking couch and did absolutely nothing but fucking smoke cigarettes and watch wrestling. That's all I fucking did for a vast majority of the time. But, you see, the best way to get vitamin E is to take large vitamins, gel kind. Okay, well, I mean, you know, vitamins basically is the same thing when it concerns fucking taking pills. I just don't like to take pills or anything in pill form. If there was food or something like that that actually had natural vitamin E in it, I would probably eat it. But when it concerns pills, no. No. I'm not gonna fucking do that. I mean, you know, I should consider anybody lucky that I'm actually willing to take Tylenol, Aleve, Motrin, and all of that shit right now. But I will go into the next thing. Before I do so, y'all know what I gotta fucking do, and that is to shill. So, Super Chat and Streamlab are available. Link is in the description below for the Streamlab. T-shirts are available with teespring.com/stores/Drakengarb, also in the description. And Patreon is also available, $1 a month, and you'll get Patreon exclusive content. $5 a month will get you that, as well as a fucking shout out on all my videos and all my live streams on this channel and the variety of other channels that I have. Motherfucker, you know, and personally, I think that once I start getting all 4 channels going in regular rotation and whatnot, that's going to be one hell of a deal. 3 motherfuckers right now that have that going on right now are Spooky Tuesday, D Venom, and Rick So Rude. Those are my motherfucking $5 Super Chat ninjas. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and continue along. But before I do, I should also say we are playing a game. I'm trying to fucking get this knocked down. And with that being said, I've also got 2 new fucking Streamlab and Super Chat exclusive fucking things. $7 will get you... $7 is one thing, and then there was another one that I made that was that's a $15 Super Chat. And you'll end up getting something... a pop-up right up here that will show well, let's just face it, it's going to fucking entertain you. Now, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and continue along, and we do have a little bit of an update when it concerns the fucking Dropkick heard around the world. At Rock Allegiance, everybody fucking knows about the fact that Shaggy 2 Dope said that he was going to be dropkicking Fred Durst, and at the end of Faith, he did. Now, something I ended up coming across, somebody ended up shooting me a link to an update on Rock's TV, and it was the fact that we all know that Shaggy 2 Dope dropkicked Fred Durst. Fred Durst actually was asked if he was going to press charges. Fred Durst actually said no. No, he's not going to be pressing charges. And that was actually sent to me by Warlockside, so shoutouts to Warlockside for that shit. Warlockside sent me the link to the fucking article talking about Fred Durst and the whole thing about the possibility of charges being in place. Fred Durst said no, and the reason why Fred Durst declined doing that shit was because of the fact, not because he missed, but because he felt that Shaggy was probably just doing that in all good and fun. But a lot of people have been speculating whether or not Shaggy 2 Dope ended up doing that as a means of free promotion, despite the fact that he ended up kind of just ribbing himself, and he ended up going to jail over that shit. I could honestly see that because, like, just even the mere presence of Insane Clown Posse drop-kicking Fred Durst was actually going to be doing that shit. You'll be able to see that ninja flight kick right where I'm standing if somebody just ends up sending a $7 super chat or a $7 Streamlab. And believe me, the track that comes with it is actually pretty funny. You have to somebody has to fucking do that if they want to see that shit. But yeah, I know that CPN on his show ended up fucking talking about how DJ Lethal fucking went nuts over that shit. Like, DJ Lethal fucking crying about it. What was it, on Twitter or Instagram? And he was just straight up fucking crying about that shit. But Fred Durst did end up saying that he was going to drop the charges because, if anything, Shaggy 2 Dope was just doing it all in good fun. And like I said before, there are some other people that have been speculating whether or not, you know, yeah, people have been speculating whether or not this was meant to be as a way of promoting Furious Fred Fury. Or Ferocious Fred Fury. I can never fucking remember the name of this card. Fabulous Fred Mercury, whatever the fuck. I can't remember. Beware FFF, fight back, blah, blah, blah. Fighting Fred Fabulous, whatever the fuck. Yeah, that's true, Tucker, but two things. One, why are you trying to fucking knock my hustle by saying that shit? Because of the fact that, two, I thought you, motherfucker, yesterday ended up saying that you're all for fucking donating and shit like that, but you only have cash, you don't have plastic. I see how it is, motherfucker. I don't like drugs, so, you know, you try to knock a motherfucker's hustle. I see how it is. Give me a good reason why I shouldn't fucking put you in timeout over that shit. Yeah, Fred is a bitch for how he reacted. It's a blessing to get dropkicked by Shags. It elevated the show. Okay, yeah, fearless Fred Fury. Thank you, Juggalo John. Yeah, I knew I was close. I was close. Now, speaking of Fred Fury, I mean, despite all of the shit with the drop kick and everything like that, basically, the only thing that I responded to Warlockside with that was, so let me get this straight. Shaggy fucking drop kicks Fred Durst. Fred Durst, in turn, drop kicks the charges. So that's good for him. You got to remember something, Tucker. When you type something, there's no emphasis on words when you're typing. Not to mention, like, the last time I heard you fucking speak was in a video where you were, like, fucking talking about, you know, your fucking hat and shit like that. And you were on some mean at that point in time as well. Whatever, I don't care. Now, so now that we have the whole fucking Dropkick thing done and out of the way, we're going to talk about Fearless Fred Fury and the album that's coming out October 26th, 2018. So in a couple of weeks, we only got a couple of weeks, y'all, before this album comes out. And a lot of people have been wondering about this shit when it concerns pre-orders. How come there are no pre-orders going on? At the same time, I hear juggalos left and right fucking crying about different types of promotion for the fucking album. And did it really occur to you motherfuckers at all that maybe the lack of pre-order is the reason for the promotion? Of course, you know, Chuck is going to say something, and so are his fucking trailer trash cohorts. They're all going to fucking say some shit about how Psychopathic is failing and they don't have the money to be able to fucking set up a pre-order and blah 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 fuck. And that in and of itself doesn't make any fucking sense, because of the fact that it's to a point and a level now where Psychopathic Records, Insane Clown Posse as a whole, they are basically a dynasty. Okay, at this point they are a dynasty in the independent scene. They are a dynasty of the underground. And so it gets to a point where maybe, for one, they really don't need to have this type of shit going on. There's little to no promotion about Fearless Fred Fury except for what we had going on at the Gathering of the Juggalos. But then again, if you think about it, we're fucking juggalos. That's who they fucking market it towards. Why the fuck would they need to have a multi-million-dollar type of promotion thing? Why would they need to do that type of shit? They don't, because we are their core audience. The people who know about Fearless Fred Fury are going to be the ones that are going to be talking about it, and that right there is free promotion in and of itself. Even me talking about the fact that they don't have the pre-order shit is hype enough, because people like Child's Play Ninja, people like myself, people like Carnival Spirits, and a lot of other people that watch us and talk about this shit are promotion enough, I would think, to be able to get shit going on to get the sales. Even Chuck, being one of those type of people that fucking try to say that Psychopathic is in the toilet, guess what? Even the mere mention of Fearless Fred Fury is going to be promotion enough for them. We are the promoters. We are the ones that are fucking the buzz about it. And why is that exactly? Think about it, motherfucker. Think about it. They were selling merchandise for Fearless Fred Fury before the announcement of the fucking release of the album. People walking around with the logo in and of itself are going to be promotion enough for the album. Did that not fucking get through anybody's fucking skull? And that's just one factor. If they can figure out a way on how to get free promotion, that's good enough, because, well, they know as well as us that the Juggalo community is basically, you know, they know how hardcore and dedicated we are to Psychopathic and to that label. And they also know how hardcore and dedicated of hatred that the haters have for them. Even the haters that are talking about the disdain that they feel for the album, whether it be what it's possibly going to sound like, what Psychopathic has been sounding like recently with people like Light and Ouija and Hoodoo and shit like that. Even that Marcus kid that I was fucking reading his comments about, and he was sucking Twisted's dick so fucking hard and saying that everybody on the label sucks and ICP is falling. And saying negative things about Fearless Fred Fury prior to the fucking album being released. That also is promotion. Just having the mere mention of Fearless Fred Fury is promotion enough to be able to get the fucking voice out there so people can fucking talk about it. You know, it's like basically back in the wrestling days. Good promotion or bad promotion is promotion nevertheless. CRM, I already talked about the Dropkick. The Dropkick update was about whether or not Fred Durst was going to press charges, and he decided not to because, if anything, he felt that what Shaggy 2 Dope was doing was all in good fun. That might have been the whole ordeal about Shaggy fucking getting like barely getting a piece of Fred Durst when he did the fucking Dropkick. But nevertheless, though, my thing when it concerned Fearless Fred Fury, there has been no fucking single for this. The pre-orders aren't available or anything like that. Now, the second thing that I was actually thinking about when it concerns the lack of release for this stuff. I mean, they did do this with, you know, like like 3 years ago, when they released... The fuck? Oh, okay, whatever. I guess that was an update for Jugganati. But one of the things that did pop into my mind was 3 years ago they ended up having this single for Lost, which ended up being Vomit. And Vomit was an okay track. The only thing that sucked though was when I pre-ordered it on Google, I didn't get the single. And that was the only reason why I wanted to fucking get the digital version of it. And I still got myself a hard copy just for the sake of having an ability to have a hard copy. So I have a hard copy for almost every fucking Joker's card. I think the only one that I don't have is Bang Pow Boom. But the way that I look at it, did motherfuckers forget that when you get the hard copy of the album, they will have in the inside the ability to be able to get a copy of Flip the Rat EP. Or actually, no, it's not even an EP. It's not an LP. It's an MP. It's a medium play. It's not a long play. It's not an extended play. It's a medium play. So the Flip the Rat MP is a specialty CD that you will be able to get if you get a hard copy of Fearless Fred Fury. Now, think about it this way. If they're trying to promote not just are they trying to promote Fearless Fred Fury, they are also going to be trying to promote Flip the Rat. A track of Fearless Fred Fury would not be able to do anything for the Flip the Rat EP. If anything, I don't think that they would need to do a release of a single or a sampler of Fearless Fred Fury. They need to do a single release of Flip the Rat. That's my thoughts. Because they already know that motherfuckers are going to be getting Fearless Fred Fury. Now, if they got a single of Flip the Rat, on the other hand, then that would be more inclined to want to get the hard copy so that way you could get Flip the Rat. But they're not going to do that because Flip the Rat is supposed to be heard only by Juggalos who got the fucking hard copy of Fearless Fred Fury. See, this in a sense is probably going back to old school days because remember, go ahead, motherfuckers and motherfuckettes, if you have a hard copy of the Amazing Jekyll Brothers, flip open the fucking booklet and you will see the game that they had. By the way, you lost the game. You go inside there, flip through the pages, and you will see a fucking game based for a phone number that you are supposed to call if you would like to get a free copy of Psychopathic Records Dumpin', and there was only 5,000 available, so the first come first serve 5,000 motherfuckers who did the phone call ended up getting a free copy of Dumpin'. Of course, I ended up calling it about a year afterwards, and I finally get the phone call, I finally get the phone number right, and he's like, you know, you figured out the clues. But the problem with that is that all of the people who won, everybody was bitching about the fact that blah blah, you know, that they couldn't get more than what we were offering, so nobody's getting a free copy of it. Now you gotta fucking find it and pay for it, and we also pressed more so that way more people can fucking get it. And that was the extent of dumping. Now this is basically no different. Something tells me that this is going to be no different than back in the day when Psychopathic used to play games with us. And, you know, that was like the whole point. And maybe that's one of those going back to the square roots of Psychopathic, especially with Insane Clown Posse. They want to make it so that way you get the hard copy, so that way you have to play the game, and you have to fucking do that if you want to get a free copy of Flip the Rat. And that's, you know, because the whole Flip the Rat MP is actually something that is, you know, because they were pressing hard on that too. And maybe that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get it so it's back to basics. Back to basics. And, you know, in the basics back in the day, I mean, think about this at the same time. Does anybody have a copy of the sampler for Shangri-La? How many tracks from that album were on the fucking sampler for Shangri-La? 0. None. No fucking tracks were made from Shangri-La and put on that sampler. Instead, it was 4 tracks. One of them was basically a song talking about the fact that this sampler had no fucking tracks. They were all specialty tracks. Then there was one song that was like a remake of an older song. The other fucking song was basically a mashup of all different songs from different Joker cards. And then the 4th track was the seminar from the 2002 Gathering of the Juggalos of Insane Clown Posse, talking about the fucking history of the 6 Joker cards. So that's another thing in and of itself. It would kind of be like a waste. Fearless Fred Fury just seems to be a little bit more special, and it's because of the fact that there has been little to no promotion from Psychopathic Records. Instead, it's been promotion from us, the Juggalos. And I'm sure that one of the main reasons why they did it like that was because of this bullshit that's been going on between the Juggalos and the Twizzlers. You know, so they want to make sure that this album does only really get into more hands of Juggalos rather than the fucking people that support Twisted more than they support ICP. So that's one thing. The second thing is little to no promotion coming from them. All of it's coming from people like myself and Child's Play Ninja. Fucking even people that are more along the lines of fucking Carnival Spirits. Those boys and girls, you know, they've been fucking talking about it. Everybody's been fucking talking about it. Just despite the fact even that there's been little to no promotion. Hell, we're even talking about the fact that there's little to no promotion. And that in and of itself is promotion enough for the fucking album. Like this is something that's been going through my fucking sugar and caffeine fueled fucking brain for like the last, I don't know, how long have we been on? We've been on here for 40 minutes, so it's been about an hour that this stuff has been going through my fucking head. Be careful with that Roxy Riddle box. You can't be serious with Twizzlers. So I would think that that answers a lot of people's questions. Why is there no promotion? Why is there no fucking sampler? Why is there no pre-orders? We're going back to basics, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is basics of 16 to 20 years ago, where there was no fucking major sampler. They're playing games with us, and that's the shit to me. That kind of goes back to basics. Back in, you know, back when you bought Bazaar, each fucking insert had a fucking board game in there. Board Game Bazaar was one of them. You know, like every EP that they fucking came out with, like the sideshow EPs, whether it be Beverly Kills or the Terror Wheel or fucking Tunnel of Love. specifically Terror Wheel and Tunnel of Love, they had a bonus track at the end of those that had a phone number where you had to fucking guess either the rhyme, which was the number, or you had to fucking answer a mathematical equation in order to fucking get the phone number, so that way you could find out the fucking shit. And then the thing with the Amazing Juggalo Brothers with how to get a free copy of Dumpin'. You know, you had to do a fucking multiple choice quiz in order to get the phone number, and then when you got that, you were asked out because everybody was bitching. You know, so like that type of stuff. And then at the same time with Shangri-La, you had 0 to no fucking samples of any fucking track that was on there because of how special that album was. And maybe they look at Fearless Fred Fury as being a special thing. And they 100, you know, and when they fucking release an album, they put their heart and soul into it, and this has been the most heart and the most soul that they have put into an album in a long fucking time. I don't care about the fact, personally. I personally don't care about whether or not there is a fucking pre-order or something like that. Doesn't matter if it's on Google Play. Doesn't matter if it's on fucking iTunes or Amazon or Spotify or anything like that. I don't care if there's pre-order availability at fucking Best Buy or Walmart or wherever the fuck, even though Walmart wouldn't sell their shit. You know, Sam Goody. Oh, wait, never mind. Sam Goody's gone. You know, or FYE, or anything of that nature. I don't care about the fact that they don't have pre-order availability on this album. Motherfuckers tend to cry about that shit nowadays. And it's like, dude, I remember fucking walking into a store the day before the release of Shangri-La, and I got myself a fucking copy of it. I was able to get a copy of it the day before the release of Shangri-La. I got my copy on November 5th, 2002. That album was supposed to be released November 5th, 2002. And believe me, I could have waited a day to do, you know, I could have waited a day, but I didn't. Because this album was too fucking hype for me. And the same thing is going to go for Fearless Fred Fury. Probably not going to be able to buy it the day before its release or anything like that. I doubt that I'm going to be able to buy it on the the 25th of October. But I'll definitely be at the store to get myself a copy of Fearless Fred Fury. You know, I remember a long time ago that Psychopathic ended up announcing eventually they wanted to be the first fucking band to switch over to just having exclusive digital releases of all of their major albums from there on out. I'm glad they didn't do that. I'm glad, honestly, that they backed out on that shit. Because CD sales, think about that shit. CD sales are now becoming a thing of the past. It's an all-time low. This is another thing. This might be another hypothetical tactic. Okay? Of course Harmony House never fucking pulled the Great Malenko. Harmony House is a Michigan thing, and they did distribution deals with ICP for a long fucking time. This might be, like I said, another fucking major tactic that they could be pulling when it concerns pushing the fucking sales of the fucking album. Because of SoundScan. SoundScan does not register digital fucking releases into their shit. Which is why I believe they ended up announcing that 250,000 sold albums is the new gold. Because more people are downloading their shit and buying their stuff digitally rather than buying the hard fucking physical copies. Now this might be an idea for them to be able to get to get their physical copy releases sold a little bit more. And why is that? It's a fucking tactic. And it kind of goes back to the whole underground argument that ICP and that CPN, I should say, ended up fucking having over the weekend, where it's like, okay, somebody releases an album and says, well, gee, I hope this motherfucker doesn't go platinum. This is a possibility. Maybe it's a tactic for them to make it so that way we buy the physical copies. Little to no promotion, no MTV, no radio play. They fucking buy the album. Within the first 2 weeks, they have gold. Of course ICP has royalties. They still have their royalties from everything that's on Island Def Jam. If you were to buy a copy of The Great Malenko, they'll have it by the end of the year. Now the downside to this though is I don't like to buy 2 copies. I like to buy one, but I also like to have the digital copy as well, so that way I can take it with me wherever I go. And the major problem that I'm going to have with this is the fact that I'm actually going to have to flip the rat out, or I'm going to have to fucking bootleg it when I get the fucking album. They're making it so in order to get a copy of Flip the Rat, which is a free album, you have to buy a physical copy of Fearless Fred Fury. Tactic. In order to fucking get physical copy sales up, so that way that motherfucker could go gold, possibly new platinum, within the first couple of weeks. I personally think that it would probably not go any farther than gold at some point. Blaze, that is fucking true. Collectors will buy the CD regardless. Let's see. MTV don't mean shit now. What's that mean, no MTV? Well, considering the fact that I'm an old school Juggalo, even if, like, I'm going to put it to you this way. You know what? Fuck the whole thing with the old school Juggalo shit. You do realize that even though MTV don't play music videos anymore, they still do advertise music. I believe that they do have, they have revitalized, I believe that they have actually revitalized TRL. I don't know if that's still going or not. But my girlfriend, she watches a lot of those fucking reality shows that they have on there, like The Challenge, and she still watches Jersey Shore. She started watching Alabama, Floribama Shore. There's also been a couple of other reality shows that are on there, like Are You the One? She watches that. She watches all of those fucking challenge shows that are hosted by, like, fucking The Miz and shit like that. And usually they will have music playing when they're, like, showing scenes of the city or somebody else doing something. And then right over here on the screen, it'll have a little pop-up that shows who the music is from and what the name of the song is, even if it's just like a little clip. But you're not gonna see even that type of shit where it's like you're watching Jersey Shore and you know, there's gonna be like a little pop-up on the side here that says, you know, Falling Apart by Insane Clown Posse or some shit like that. Like, you're still not gonna see that stuff. So I guess in a sense you could still say no MTV, no radio play, nothing. Like, the only time that you're actually going to see that shit is on YouTube. But nevertheless, they have no promotion. They have no MTV. They have no radio play. We are the promotion. We are the ones that are spreading the word. And at the same time, physical copy sales tactic. So you have to have a physical copy in order to get a copy of Flip the Rat. And Flip the Rat, on top of that, is also going to be a physical copy. So it's a tactic for them in order to fucking make it so the album goes gold. You can get a fucking digital copy of it on top of the physical copy. That's something that they are going to fucking do. You know, Tucker, I gotta tell you something. I don't watch MTV. And, you know, so, like, the whole thing about, you know, whatever, Adam from the real world, I don't know who the fuck that is. True talk. So I think that's enough of a situation when it concerns Fearless Fred Fury. Let's just chalk it up. Let's just chalk it up at the fact that when it concerns Fearless Fred Fury, I wouldn't worry about the fucking pre-sales. I wouldn't worry about pre-orders or anything like that. Just wait patiently or impatiently, I don't give a fuck. But wait until the 26th to get the album. Because anticipation is what's going to make you appreciate this fucking album a little bit more. I personally think that that might be another thing when it concerns the fact that there is no pre-order, there is no single. And the reason why I say that is this. Dragon emojis, for any of y'all motherfuckers that pre-ordered the album digitally, and I'm talking about the Marvelous Missing Link Lost. Dragon emojis out there for those who had pre-ordered a digital copy of Lost in order to get the fucking album and to get the Vomit single. Any of y'all motherfuckers that pre-ordered a digital copy just to get the fucking single Vomit. I'll wait until I see probably 5 dragon emojis. Now, when it concerns MTV, you know what I miss on MTV? The Max. I remember that fucking I remember that fucking show. Even though it was short-lived. The Max was short-lived, but my favorite line in there was from the first episode where the dude's like, I wish I was drunk or something. Maybe that would explain all this! So I'm waiting on your fucking dragon emojis here. For those of you who pre-ordered the Marvelous Missing Link Lost to get that single Vomit. See, Daniel, I think, knows what time it is. Yeah, but you know, let's face it though, nothing was as dope on MTV as Max Headroom. Max Headroom was the fucking shit. Aeon Flux, I would probably say Aeon Flux was good, but only when Aeon Flux was on Liquid Television. Like every episode she fucking died. Okay, so Necessary Evil seems to be the only motherfucker that's posting dragon emojis on here. Now, I'm going to tell you this, Necessary Evil. When you listen to Vomit, out of its context of the entire album, like, did you feel anticipated for the album's release, or were you just like, what the fuck is this? I'm going to say, what the fuck is this? Being your answer with flame emojis. And this is going to be more, you know, and if this was more anticipation for the fucking album as a whole, diamond emojis. Oh yeah, I know Roxy. Yeah, I know. I love this shirt. This is my favorite Joker card. See, the reason why I say this whole situation is because I honestly think that for something like a Joker's card, you can't just throw out a single. You can't. Because listening to a Joker's card requires the ability to listen to an album front to back with no interruptions. And that's one of the things about ICP is that when you listen to their albums, there's not supposed to be a fucking single. What is this motherfucking single supposed to be playing on Hot 96? Did anybody think that? Like, oh, this is so much fire, this belongs on the fucking radio, even though it's Insane Clown Posse. No. That was the problem that I foresaw with getting a fucking, with getting any fucking single or anything like that. Samplers are bad enough as it is because of the fact that you're not listening to the album as a whole. With Insane Clown Posse, with Joker's cards, you must wait for the freshness. And that, to me, is what makes Insane Clown Posse so fucking special. There are supposed to be no singles on that shit. It made me laugh my ass off when I found out that there was a fucking greatest hits album out there. When I found out about Mutilation Mix, it made me laugh my ass off. But even then, they actually fucking said greatest hits that never were hits. And basically, that was an album of snippets for these fucking for these Joker cards that they didn't have, they've never been major radio play, and they never had their fucking songs on MTV or something like that. They could have been considered Juggalo favorites or something to that effect. But the fact is that why would you have a fucking single out for a Joker's card? There's no reason behind it. These albums are meant to be played from the fucking start to the end. No interruptions. That's how these albums are supposed to be played. Because these albums have a special theme. And if you take a fucking single and release the single, I don't care if it's Vomit. I wouldn't have cared if it was Explosions. You take away the context of the theme for a fucking song, and it dilutes the meaning behind the shit. That's what I'm saying. And maybe that was something that ICP ended up realizing. The fact that releasing a fucking single was not in the cards. Releasing a sampler was not in the fucking cards. Pre-ordering the motherfucker digitally was not in the cards. Pre-ordering the motherfucker on Psychopathic merch was probably a fucking accident. And that's because it's fucking Psychopathic merch. That motherfucker hasn't started since they sold Hatchet Gear. We, as a fan base, I honestly think, should be patient with this shit. Because if we are patient with it, think about it. Think about the first time you listened to the Wraith Shangri-La and listening to it, just sitting in your bed or sitting on a couch or a chair with the CD in the fucking Walkman, and you've got your fucking earbuds in your ears, and you're listening to every crisp, clean fucking sound of this fucking magic and how it felt when you first fucking listened to it. Everybody else that wasn't feeling the album is pretty much just fucking left. But when you listen to the Ray Shangri-La without listening to a single, without listening to a sampler or anything like that, and you listen to that fucking album front to back, that right there is what you're supposed to feel when you fucking listen to a fucking Joker card for the first time. And maybe that's something that they're trying to do with this album. Is try to bring that back. Try to bring back that feeling without having to make it so this shit sounds like any other album. I've heard it all. With the length of time that I've been on the fucking Juggalo world, I've heard so many people say, you need to make an album that sounds like Riddlebox. You need to make an album that sounds like Jekyll Brothers. You need to make another album that sounds like Malenko. Those are the three major albums that everybody wants to fucking have that sound feel like again. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it has been a while, Super Bears. Haven't seen you in a minute. Now, when it concerns this shit, me personally, I don't care about the fact that there's no pre-order. Because I am a person that is very much willing, very, very much willing to just sit back and chill and wait for this album to be released. Pop it into my fucking CD player and listen to it front to back without having to say, oh, hey, Vomit was a single and I heard that before the entirety of the album. I wonder how that's going to fucking play into the theme of this album, because everybody knows that a Joker card is supposed to have a theme. And that's my thoughts on it. Now this next piece of material, y'all are probably, half of y'all are probably just going to say, fuck this and walk away. But as you know, I am a wrestling fan. And over the weekend, I ended up seeing that pay-per-view that they had, even though it played live 5 in the morning on Saturday. I ended up watching the recap of it, and it ended up being a WWE Super Showdown. Now, y'all know I'm I'm a wrestling fan. I'm not as big a wrestling fan as some of my friends, because I've got friends of mine, which, by the way, if you are a fan of just wrestling as a whole, I might as well go ahead and plug these motherfuckers, because one of the dudes is one of my closest friends, and we talk wrestling all the fucking time. But I personally limit myself to WWE. These guys talk about WWE, TNA, AAA, NPJW, or whatever, New Japan Pro Wrestling. They talk about fucking IWA shit. They talk about fucking NWA and the territories and things of that nature. And me personally, I mainly just stick to watching Raw and SmackDown and their pay-per-views, which I personally think that it sucks that all pay-per-views are now brand controlled. They're no longer brand controlled. They're no longer brand exclusive. I liked it like that because that meant even with WWE Network, I was able to watch every single fucking pay-per-view. And they had a pay-per-view every other fucking week. When it concerned the Triple H versus Undertaker match, that was fucking cool. But I honestly have to say that I think that that was probably the only epic fucking match that they had. Like the other match, some of the other matches that I was actually looking forward to were really just what the fuck. The reason why I say that, case in point, is The Miz versus Daniel Bryan, and whoever won got a chance at going after the WWE championship. And that match only lasted a couple minutes. Like, this should have been a fucking match for the ages. Because these guys have had a very long feud that dates all the way back to the first season of NXT, when NXT for the first 3 or 4 seasons used to be a fucking reality show, based off of whatever it was that they could do physically, mentally, vocally, and things of that nature. And at the time, Daniel Bryan was incredibly fucking dry. You know, he didn't like the fact that he was being called a rookie, even though he had been in the wrestling business for 15 years. And, you know, it culminated from there. But when it concerned, you know, when it concerned watching this match, that match was just fucking stupid. It didn't last for very long. I had absolutely no interest whatsoever with the match with Kevin Owens and Elias versus Bobby Lashley and John Cena. I had absolutely no interest in that fucking match. Because I already knew that John Cena was going to fucking win the match. John Cena had been out of the business for fucking months, almost a year. And he fucking just comes in and wins a match. I mean, like, okay, yeah, I'll come back and do the match, but only if I'm allowed to win. Big Match John. I'm honestly, I'm sick and tired of that motherfucker. And I've been sick and tired of that motherfucker for a long time. Now, a lot of people will probably say that, you know, it's weird that I have such disdain for John Cena, but at the same time, I like Roman Reigns. At least Roman Reigns shows a little bit more oomph in his shit. I mean, what, we just watched a fucking 3-year fight for Roman Reigns to get up to the top. We watched Brock Lesnar not do a goddamn thing for a fucking year. With him being WWE Universal Champion. Personally, I'm glad that motherfucker no longer has the strap, at a basic point where I was like, anybody but Brock. And I know that a lot of people that were fans of this shit agreed with me on that. Anybody but Brock. I would rather see Dwayne Gill with the Universal title rather than Brock Lesnar. Even if it's like for 5 fucking minutes. I would much rather see that shit. Because at least with a champion like Roman Reigns, you're actually going to see the motherfucker wrestle day in and day out. You're going to see that motherfucker try to defend that title every chance that he fucking gets. And it's funny, you know, Big Andy, no, what I want to see more in the WWE is midget wrestling. I want to see more midgets. I miss midget wrestling. That used to be very prominent in the late 90s. You know, seeing all the midget luchadors and shit like Max Mini. You know, like them motherfuckers. See, I agree with Super Bears on that one. Like, AJ Styles is a fucking champion. At least he defends the title once a month like most wrestlers should. I mean, you know, think about it. Like, back in the day, Bruno Sammartino defended that title once a month. But a real champion is Ric Flair. Defended the title every day, twice on Sundays. And that motherfucker held that title for quite some time. That was his second, I believe that was his second or third run as a NWA champion. Only one wrestler I know personally is Scotty 2 Hotty, but he never had a push. You know, Scotty 2 Hotty, like, he's a, you know, I would say Scotty 2 Hotty is good, but he just doesn't, like, I guess you could say he doesn't have the look or anything like that. He's entertaining as fuck, you know, doing the worm and shit like that. I'll give Scotty 2 Hotty that. But I personally think he shined best as a tag partner for either Grandmaster Sexay or Rikishi. Like, that dude, you know, like, that dude was good. He had some tools, but he didn't seem to have all of them. What I really liked, though, when it concerns people of that era, let's see, I want to see retard wrestling or mongoloid wrestling. Go on the WWE Network and do a search on the WWE Network for Festus, and you'll see retarded wrestling. Actually, you know what? No, you go on the WWE Network and do a search for WCW Nitro 2000, and you'll see retarded wrestling. But when it concerns this pay-per-view, it was to me. Not a whole lot of the matches I was really interested in seeing. To be perfectly honest, I'm honestly getting sick and tired of one title in the women's division. I've always been an advocate. For a very long time, I've been an advocate for pushing women's wrestling to its maximum limit. And they've been doing that, but I think that they've been pushing it too fast. And that's mainly due to the whole thing with the women's revolution and stuff like that. I mean, we have a lot of good characters and a lot of good female wrestlers that are in the WWE as of right now. But to fucking be like, okay, you know what? We're going to prove that women can do matches as good as the men and things of that nature. They did that a while ago. Before this whole thing with the women's revolution and making an all-women's pay-per-view and shit like that. Remember, one of the Godfather's hoes was hardcore champion at one time. Ivory was trying to go after Crash Holly for the fucking hardcore title at one time. The same thing for Marlena, Terry Runnels. She also tried to go for the hardcore title at one time. Molly Holly is another person that went for the hardcore title. Chyna has been Intercontinental Champion. You want to talk about a women's revolution, you can mention Chyna being a fucking 2-time Intercontinental Champion and forget about the fact that she's done porn. And it pisses me off that this past Hall of Fame ended up having Ivory as a fucking inductee and not fucking Chyna. It's to a point now where there are two people that deserve their due to be inducted posthumously into the WWE Hall of Fame, and that is not just Owen Hart, but Chyna as well. Chyna deserves to be in the fucking WWE Hall of Fame. What the fuck did Ivory do in order to fucking get into the WWE Hall of Fame? What? She was in WOW? She was in Women of Wrestling? Who gives a shit? All I remember, a vast majority of Ivory, you want to know what I feel was her claim to fame? Was when she had a hardcore match against Tori for the WWE Women's title, and even after she won, she took a fucking clothing iron and put it on Tori's back. That's her claim to fame, was just being a psycho bitch in the WWE. And then to make it even better, she decided to be a part of the Right to Censor, which was being led by Stevie fucking Richards. Big Stevie Cool being the leader of the Right to Censor, and had Chris Morley, aka fucking Val Venus, the Godfather, being another person, and Ivory, which Ivory could have just been in there from the start anyway. If anything, she should have been fucking running the Right to Censor instead. That is definitely truth right there. Tucker. Chyna not getting into the Hall of Fame is politics and nepotism. And I doubt that it has anything to do with the fact that the only reason why Chyna was in the WWE in the first place was because she was fucking Triple H. Until Triple H decided to start dating Stephanie McMahon, and there goes his rise to fame, or anything like that. What are you talking about? Ivory, of course she's in. She was in. Well, she did that. Yeah, exactly, dude. Believe me, dude, I fucking grew up watching, I grew up watching this shit all throughout high school. Every fucking week, Tuesday mornings, me and my best friends would sit down and we'd talk about Raw. I watched Ivory's career. I remember back in the day, the WWE had a poll for who they thought, who they thought was a list of people that they wanted to throw in to obtain a WWE Heavyweight Championship. And at the time, I was in the pro wrestling boards on GameFAQs. And we all decided, as a rib to the WWE, we decided that we were going to all vote Val Venus. And guess who won on a landslide? It ended up being Val Venus that won that fucking list. And there were a lot of top tier main event guys that were only getting like 1%, 0.9%. You want to know the percentage that Val Venus got? Val Venus got about like 96.2% of the votes. And did he get his title shot? No. Instead, they gave him a fucking minuscule storyline, and this was after he had fucking lost all of his muscle mass that made him look like a porn star to begin with. I grew up watching the Attitude Era. The one thing that I loved the most was the Hardcore division, and that was mainly because of Hardcore Holly, Crash Holly, and Al Snow. My love for these guys went far in between. And it was the shit seeing these guys do their thing and fucking just be insane with the type of shit that they were doing. Even the 24/7 rule, when it got into effect, like, that was fucking awesome. But one of the things that I actually wanted to talk about was, like, the major problems that I have when it concerns the women's division, okay? Of course, they have the women's titles for each respective brand. But now they have so many fucking women on both brands. And I'm still seeing, to this day, I'm still seeing fucking tag team matches in the women's division. But what in the hell is the point of having a tag team title? I mean, like, what the hell is that? What the hell is the point in having a tag team match when there's no fucking titles involved? Women should also have tag team titles. And I actually even tweeted that to Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. If you want to increase the amount of prestige that you have in this women's revolution, you need to also include tag titles and a secondary belt. Not just women's titles. Because with the amount of women that are on there and the amount of women that are vying for this title, it just really dilutes the prestige of a woman's title. And then when you only have like 2 or 3 women that are considered the top women, then, it just makes me think that, okay, who gives a shit? Yeah, you have a women's revolution. You had women in you had women in a Royal Rumble match. You had an all-women's Royal Rumble match. You have the Mae Young Classic. You had what used to be called the Fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal. You have the women's title on Raw. You have the women's title on SmackDown. But you're still throwing these women in tag team matches, and you're like, oh yeah, we just signed fucking Ronda Rousey. Let's just feed her a fucking title before any of this shit. So that way Ronda Rousey doesn't have to fucking earn it. So my problem goes is like, okay, look, you have all of these women and none of them are fucking vying for the shit. You have 4 women in total that are going after one specific title. 2 for each brand, and then everything else is just a fucking grudge match. No, you need a secondary title. You need tag team titles. You also need to expand and grow the fucking women's roster when it concerns that shit. And I see that Super Bear said choppy choppy. Choppy choppy yo PP. I love the Mr. Yamaguchi-san storyline. What's my opinion on Matt Hardy leaving? Is that really that fucking surprising? I mean, it's not necessarily wonderful or anything like that, because I really liked seeing where Matt was going with the broken Matt Hardy storyline, even though he was woken, but still. And why does Nikki Bella deserve a title shot versus Ronda Rousey? Well, probably because Nikki Bella is fucking Big Match John. You know, so there's a little bit of clout there. The Bellas seem to be the top cats in the pussy pile, and I agree to that. You know, but, you know, they're considered veterans and stuff, and, you know, that's another thing, too. Like, when you have the Bella twins coming back, you have the Bellas. You have, you know, like, they've done matches solo, they've done matches tag team-wise. They should honestly go into this, you know, they should vie for a fucking tag team division in the women's division. My most memorable Mark moment in wrestling is Jake the Snake having a cobra that bit Randy Savage. Ah, shit. Alright, I gotta take a break real quick, so I will be right back. Alright, I'm back. Let's see, what did I miss here? Really needs to be a women's show, like an hour on the network. Now, I don't personally mind that the women are, like, doing the main shit on Raw and SmackDown. I don't mind that at all. And I like the fact that they're, you know, they're starting to have, you know, major fucking storylines and stuff like that. Because I personally thought that it was annoying as fuck that the only time that you really saw women in wrestling was basically a tag team match with all the women on the roster, and the match only lasted like 5 minutes and be like an 8-woman tag match. You know, basically it was just a, you know, like they called it a piss break match. Yeah, and that's what happened to CM Punk. CM Punk quit because he wasn't happy with the fact that despite him having the WWE title, he wasn't the main event. And it pissed me off the fact that, you know, that was going down, because I felt that CM Punk could carry a fucking match like that. I mean, anybody saw like the CM Punk versus Undertaker match. Personally, I think he should have broke the streak. I personally think that he should have broken the streak. And that's because of the fact that, as opposed to Brock Lesnar, CM Punk was the guy to carry the torch. And then the same thing goes for, the same thing goes for him being able to carry a match, even as a title. But because of the fact that John Cena was still somewhat relevant to the kids, you know, he had to fucking main event the match. But he wasn't happy in the position that he was in because he felt that he was supposed to win the fucking Royal Rumble. And instead, they give it to Batista, who just came back. So I can understand CM Punk wanting to leave because he realized that there's no hope for him. There's no hope for him being the top guy, even after all of the fucking buzz when he did his pipe bomb. And from there on out, where he ended up holding the title for 434 days and defended it once a month, by the way. Fuck Brock Lesnar for beating that streak. Because he only defended the title, what, 4 times? And then, yeah, he went to UFC. It took him 2-3 years to train for his first fucking match. And then he got his ass beat. And then it took him another 2-3 years to train for the next match. And then he got his ass beat again. But, at the same time, he's like, I would much rather get paid $1.5 million, $2 million to lose a match. And I have to do one every couple of years. But, what's funny about that is that, CM Punk fucking used to be one of those guys that was all about anti-establishment and stuff like that. And that was something that we needed in the WWE. And instead we ended up having that with the fucking Shield. Particularly, we have that with Dean Ambrose. Oh, God, yeah. Like, my favorite thing about the Punk storyline, and I'm glad that Punk was willing to do it, was when The Undertaker was paying homage to Paul Bearer with the urn and shit. And then fucking CM Punk came out, beat the shit out of The Undertaker, and then he opened up the urn and put the ashes on his hand and started licking his hand and shit. Like, that was dope as fuck. It was the sickest fucking thing I had seen, and I loved every second of it. As a matter of fact, I might watch that now that I'm thinking about it. I might as well just say, fuck it. Once I'm done with this shit, I'm going back onto the WWE Network and I'm going to fucking watch that. Because I loved that shit. The Rumble was ruined as soon as Bryan got eliminated. They messed that whole Mania build-up with that one single mistake. I mean, I don't know. I think they kind of fixed that shit. Because, they eliminated Bryan because I think, honestly, the office didn't think that he'd be able to carry that shit. And they gave him a chance because of the whole Occupy Raw thing. And, and that actually worked out in the benefit. I just wish that when it concerned Bryan now, they only had that match. Like, they gave Daniel Bryan piss break match, like, quality at Super Showdown. Which kind of sucked because I actually had a lot of high hopes for that match. I was hoping for a fucking drag out. That was the match that was supposed to be the sleeper and intended not to be that. And a lot of the matches that happened was really fucking stupid. I didn't get a chance to watch the 205 Live match or anything like that. But other than the Undertaker Triple H match, I kind of knew what they were building up for when it concerned that shit. And then I started watching the match, and then the end of the match, everybody fucking does the curtain call with the match, hugging each other, throwing daps. And then the Undertaker and fucking Kane run roughshod on him and beat the shit out of him. Beat the shit out of Triple H, beat the shit out of the Heartbreak Kid. And then last night, they opened with Triple H and Hunter. They open up with Heartbreak, with HBK, HB Shizzle, and the Game. that he just lost. You know, they came out and they ran a fucking promo. The return of Degeneration X. And I thought that was fucking dope. But I knew that there was a thing with the fact that, like, when Undertaker came out during HBK's fucking promo for Super Showdown, I knew that, you know, watching this, I was like, I know that HBK is going to be at Super Showdown behind Triple H's corner. And the minute that he fucking mentioned the fact that he has not wrestled for the last 8.5 years out of respect for The Undertaker, I was like, this is a build-up to get HBK back into the ring. Even if it's one last time at Crown Jewel, they are going to fucking have they're going to have Triple H and HBK fucking come out as a tag team, as DX, to fight against the Brothers of Destruction. I just fucking knew it. And that ended up happening last night on Raw. HBK and Triple H come out, and they basically rip off their shirts, and you see the DX shirts. I knew it. And even though you know something, it's still one of those situations where it's like, this is going to be fucking awesome. And you still mark out because now you're seeing it with your own eyes rather than hearing about it or thinking about it or, you know, assuming that that was the possibility. I had seen wrestling long enough that I knew that this was going to go down like this. So Super Showdown really was just a build-up for Undertaker and a build-up for Triple H and, you know, and a build-up specifically for Shawn Michaels to jump back into the ring rather than fucking doing a promo and being goofy and fucking super kicking somebody. So I'm actually looking forward to that. When it concerns this thing with Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey, I have not gotten as far as that. But, I mean, Nikki Bella, to me, I don't find her entertaining to watch. Brie Bella, pretty much, you know, just because of the fact that it's well known that she's married to Daniel Bryan, her fucking wrestling has matched his, where she's copying all of the stuff that he fucking does, you know, because married. And then this match that they had with the Shield versus Braun Strowman and Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. It's like, okay, look, I really don't care about Drew McIntyre. You know, Dolph Ziggler to me is getting tired. I like Braun Strowman and I like the Shield. Whether they're running separately or together, it doesn't matter to me. But I ended up seeing that shit about Triple H and HBK. You know, like that right there, I found to be a little bit interesting. I was more invested into that shit than I was anything else with Super Showdown. With the current women now, you can see how bad the Bellas are. Yeah, no shit. Like, they basically had little to no formal training. But you can see some of the talent that's in the ring right now. You really don't need the fucking Bellas. The Bellas, if anything now, are just basically a brand. And nothing else but that. But with all of this said, I hope that this has been a little bit enlightening for y'all. So I'm going to actually call it at this point. I need to sit down. Yes, I'm a Heyman guy. Definitely a fucking Paul Heyman guy. But I'm actually going to call it now. I'm going to get the fuck out of here. I need to sit down. My back is starting to fucking flare up a little bit. So with that being said, thank you to everybody that was watching and thank you to everybody up in the chat. Make sure you check out my fucking t-shirts and stuff like that. NES Man or Gamer Man is actually still available. Just click into the link description below. I haven't been able to check anything when it concerns that and sales and all of that shit as of right now. And one other reminder too is that if you're watching this in post, you can click onto the link in the description below for the Streamlabs, and you can donate if you want to show your support in that fashion. With that being said, I'm KreyzMcKormik. I'm out this motherfucking bitch. Deuces.